Coming to you live this week from Coolidge Park in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm your host, Kelley, and if you think you're a normal person, welcome to the Normal Person Podcast.
Some people act like normal's a four-letter word, but most of us want to be normal. To sit and talk for a bit about it, whatever it is. Are you okay today to press play? Is there any other way to be normal?
This week, we're stepping out of the present and into the future as we invite passing strangers to share not just where they see themselves in 10 years, but where they see the world at large. Today's episode is one of my all-time personal favorite collections of conversations, from a sixth grader with environmental concerns to a cancer survivor who recently lost his own brother. Get ready to feel both motivated and emotional by the universal hope of a better tomorrow. For those listening who weren't able to sit down with us, I invite you to take a moment and reflect for yourself on today's question. Where do you see yourself and the world 10 years from now? Now, to kick off today's episode, I'd like to introduce you to a Chattanoogan by the name of Sarah, who, spoiler alert, recently got engaged to her partner Trent. Congratulations, by the way. Sarah was the literal first person to sit down and talk with me on this beautiful late summer afternoon, and I think she helped set the tone for the rest of today's episode.
Macaroni, she's a cat, she's really cute, but we love her.
Macaroni and Merlin.
Yeah.
Wow, I like the alliteration there.
Yeah.
The M and the M.
The M and M.
I realized I didn't ask you this, and I'm glad that I know all of this about your cats now, but what's your name again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Sarah Paris.
Sarah Paris.
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Normal Person Podcast.
Thank you.
I wanted to just... So the way this usually works, and you're our first guest today, which is like one of the hardest jobs on this show.
I got it.
Thank you so much for taking the mantle. But I'm going to just ask you some questions about yourself. We're out here in Chattanooga today.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll kind of transition into this question. But yeah, just tell me, like, you live in Chattanooga?
Yes,
Okay.
I live in Chattanooga. I've been here about 10 years now.
Oh, nice.
I went up to school at UT Knoxville. Absolutely loved it.
Cool.
And I was looking at moving, obviously, because we can graduate. You know, you're branching out, you're doing your thing, seeing what your degree could actually get you.
Yeah.
I was going out.
What's your degree in?
Well, it was hospitality, hotel,
Okay.
restaurant, and tourism. And so I was looking at just so many different options. You know, you can do a lot with that. I was looking to travel. My sweet sister told me that she was pregnant. My only sibling, she said she was pregnant with her first kid. And I was like, I cannot fly to you. Like, I don't have that kind of cash money right now, but I can drive. So I moved 1 hour closer. My family is in Memphis. So I got
Shout
a little
out.
bit closer to them,
Okay.
and it's been
So you've lived in
awesome.
like every corner of the state.
Yeah, besides Nashville. Sorry, Nashville.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm from Nashville.
Yeah.
I didn't like growing up there, but apparently it's really cool
It's
now.
a big place now.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Excellent traffic.
Excellent. Not as good. Not as good as Atlanta, though.
Oh,
we're
no.
unmatched in that department.
Atlanta definitely wins.
Yeah, which is why I got into podcasting, because I just sit in my car for so long.
There you go.
I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of tease out some details about Chattanooga from everyone I talk to, but let's kind of jump into the question today.
Let's hear it.
If you're ready for it.
I'm ready.
Where do you think you see yourself in like 10 years from now?
10 years. Okay, so like I said, I'm engaged. Super exciting. Awesome. So I'm going to be married.
I would hope.
Yeah, one would like to think
Because that's 2 years more than...
Yeah.
Was it the 8 or 10 year engagement? What was that movie? Was
Oh
it,
my gosh, I forgot
Yeah.
about that movie.
Yeah. Is it the 10 year engagement or
I think
8 year?
No, I think it's a 10-year engagement.
Okay, well,
something crazy like that.
Hopefully 10 years from now, your life is
my
not the
gosh.
plot of that
Yes,
movie. Yeah.
No, we are not going to be that plot.
Yeah.
I'll literally die. But I would like to kind of be like my dad.
Okay. In what way?
I love him. He's amazing. I'm adopted.
Okay.
I think I hit the jackpot for adoption. He really does take care of himself, and he's always taught me, like, take care of your body. You're going to be there for the long haul. You know, and he wants to be there for, like, my kids,
Yeah.
which I don't even have one yet. So, you know, that'd be really cool to see my dad
Yeah.
in 10 years being able to be there with my kids. But I want to be there for them too.
Right.
And so my knees are not the greatest right now, but I would love to like keep my running up, keep my biking up, being able to do a lot of stuff outdoors.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, I still really want to be active.
Okay.
I feel like that's really crucial to not just like being a healthy person individually, but for your family and for your friends, like being able to show up.
I've never really thought about it that way, which is a
Really?
good way to frame it. Yeah. I mean, I've always had just like an insanely fast metabolism.
Oh, just like a man would say. Anybody else?
Yeah. But like I exercise every now and then, but it's always been like an individually focused need.
Yeah.
And I've never thought about it as being like, hey, I want to keep my body healthy so I don't have a major health crisis.
Yeah. I want to show up for my friends. I would love to show up for my family. I mean, me and my dad ran the St. Jude Half Marathon last year.
Well, congrats.
And I beat him. It was
good,
awesome.
good.
I mean, he's 67. I'm 33.
Yeah, it's kind of like the plot of Rocky 3. I don't know why I'm throwing all these movie references in here now.
No, I
It's
love
okay.
it. But I do think that it's important, just not for yourself, but for the people around you. Like, I get to go and visit all my friends, and when I'm in Colorado or anything like that, if they're like, I want to hike, I don't have to be the person that's like, no, I have to hang back.
Right.
I get to see those things and like
And let's be honest, like,
be a part of it.
I don't want to be like, I'm not a mean person, but it's a truthful statement to say like, no one likes that person. You know, it's like if we're all trying to go outside and enjoy nature, no one likes that person that's like,
I can't, or I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to, and I will do it, not just for myself, but to like be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's beautiful. Like, we have the whole entire world to see.
Okay, let me ask you one more question.
All right, I'm ready.
I kind of end these interviews with a little, either a wild card or kind of like a twist on the question I've already asked.
All right.
So today is kind of more of a twist. Where do you think the world will be in 10 years? And that's a very broad question, but that's why I kind of wanted to frame it that way.
I hope the world... Ugh, I'm just sounding so cheesy. Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's a podcast. It's a good soundbite to have.
I hope that the world will be more like Chattanooga in 10 years.
That would be
I hope
great.
that it will look at every single family and want everybody to be together on a hot day like today and get cool.
Yeah.
Because the city is
in
interested
Coolidge Park,
in
literally.
Coolidge Park,
Yeah.
and like be able to cool down together and all enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
Yeah.
I hope that they also, while they're doing that, have recycling and care about their river and care about their city and care about where they live. Not just as a whole entire United States or wherever you are, but just as where you live, like genuinely care about it. Because
Although I
we
definitely
care
have
about
some
the
biases in saying this, I couldn't agree more with our new friend Sarah and her vision for the future. And speaking of the future, there were quite a few kids that signed up to talk with me throughout this particular recording. And unbeknownst to me, there was also a free family festival happening only half a mile away from where we set up the podcast. But luckily, the kids of Chattanooga seemed to be aspiring podcasters themselves, because it was fairly difficult to narrow down which interviews I wanted to actually share on today's episode. So, that being said, there were a lot of contenders, but our next guest I knew when we first started talking, her confidence and fresh new 6th grade perspective would be a standout in today's episode. Down with me, what's your name?
My name is Luella.
So what brings you out here today?
We wanted to come to this little fair here.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom thought it would be a good idea to get me out of the house.
Do you agree?
No.
You like being in the house?
Yeah, it's a nice house.
Well, out here today, have you had fun?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so it was worth getting out of the house a little bit.
It was worth it. It's just 2 hours ago I wouldn't agree.
Right. I'm the same way. Like, if I'm comfortable watching TV and someone's like, hey, let's go do this, I'm like, But then once I get out there, I have fun.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to go, and then it's like, after you do it, it's like, okay, that was fun. I will admit that.
Yeah. I didn't ask you this, like, how old are you?
I'm 11.
11. So let me guess, you are in 5th or 6th grade?
6.
6. Tell me about that. What's that like?
It's weird because there's not more drama than 5th grade.
Right.
But there's still a lot of drama.
Yeah. Well, so less than 5th grade.
What's drama?
Interesting. So 5th grade was a very drama-heavy year.
Yeah. There were a lot of fights breaking out.
Really? People still get in fights in school? I thought that stopped a long time ago.
No.
So I'm going to kind of ask you, because I want to give you as much time as you want today to answer this question, but where do you think you see yourself in like 10 years?
I feel like I'd see myself, well, I'd be like, I'm 21, so
Right.
I think I'd be like in college,
Yeah.
maybe having a boyfriend. Because I feel like I definitely have had a boyfriend by that time.
Yeah.
But I feel like,
You might have gone through a breakup.
yeah.
Yeah. You're smart enough to realize that. Some people don't, you know? Some people think everyone they date is their soulmate. So you would think maybe a boyfriend. What do you think you'd be studying in college?
In college, I've always wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Oh, okay. So it'd be like Air Force almost.
Uh-huh.
What makes you want to do that?
Well, I've always wanted to be able to, like, I feel like the best superpower would be able to fly. And I also heard that they pay you at that college.
Oh, yeah, they do. They
Yeah.
do. So you're thinking economically, too.
I am.
You are. Because college is expensive.
Yeah.
It is very expensive.
My brother is going into college soon, and I saw one of the things on my mom's bed. It's like $35,000.
Really?
Come to this college. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
No, you're smart. Find a way to get college paid for. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, kind of change it up a little bit. Like, where do you think you see the world in 10 years? You're old enough now that you're kind of like, not everything is a Disney movie anymore, so you're starting to kind of see the world as it is. With that in mind, like, where do you think you see the world in 10 years? In a better or worse place?
I feel like a bit of both.
Okay.
It could get a lot worse or a lot better. I feel like the worst explanation would be like less people are caring about the environment and more trees are going down.
Yep.
And like maybe half the trees there was than now. And some animals may be extinct.
Yeah.
And in a good way in 10 years, I can see like us maybe like getting an invention or maybe just stop polluting the environment.
Yeah, one of the two would be nice.
And I can see like us planting more trees and trying to like save the animals and stuff.
Okay.
I see like,
A little bit of both.
yeah.
What's an extinct animal you would bring back?
That is the dodo bird.
Yes.
I was trying to think of a harmless animal that wouldn't affect the environment too much.
Yeah. Well, the thing about have you done research into them?
Yes, they are harmless and they can't fly.
Yeah. Well, they also would just like run off of cliffs and accidentally kill themselves a lot.
That is
too.
true.
So I'm not saying that they deserve to be extinct because there was a place for them in the world before humans took over everything. But, you know, there's some animals where I'm like, is it our fault? Like the giant panda, for instance. You're telling me we're going to save a creature that sleeps all day?
Luella, if you're listening, I hope you have a great 6th grade year. And also, hope you come back to this episode and listen when you're flying at Mach 5 10 years from now. Okay. Our next guest has quite the life story to share, so I'll cut to the chase. Although it was very tempting to put as many puns as I could into his intro, all I can really say is that some of the stories you're about to hear are quite shocking.
All right. Now we can talk.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay, first of all, what's your name?
Andrew.
Andrew. What are you doing out here in Coolidge Park today?
I brought my kids out here to come play. My wife found this last year, so
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Cool.
We enjoy it. We get into every event Chattanooga throws on right here at the river, so it's pretty cool.
It's a great spot. Are you all from Chattanooga?
No.
Okay, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Los Angeles. My wife's from San Francisco.
You move around a lot?
Yeah.
Well, what do you do for a living?
I'm a lineman. I build power lines.
Oh, cool.
So
Cool.
I go anywhere and everywhere the work's at.
Yeah. How long you been doing that?
About 6 years.
Okay. What do you think of it?
It can be grueling or it can
Okay.
be easy and enjoyable. Depends what you put yourself into.
Is it scary at all?
I've been in an accident where it nearly caused me my life, and it made me reevaluate everything. But you know, it's kind of it depends on the person. You know,
Have you seen any accidents with people?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lady that wasn't even involved in my job die right next to us. So
Really?
yeah, I spent 15 minutes trying to resuscitate her, and she passed away in my hands. So
Damn.
just things that kind of come along with it where you go. So you just never know where you're going to be.
Yeah, and it is a dangerous trade too.
Yeah.
So that's
It's an adventure every day. That's why I like it. It's a different challenge.
yeah, and you're not scared of heights, I would imagine.
Funny enough, depends on how high I get. I will. Yeah.
What's the highest that they put electric poles up?
Oh man, they'll get up to 200 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that
higher.
like the ones that go like, you see them like across the interstate that go like
Those
in
are the
valleys?
transmission lines.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the big boys.
Wow. So you do work on stuff like that sometimes?
Yeah, I've done stuff like that.
Okay. Wow. What's the craziest work story you have? And then I'll stop asking about it.
The craziest work story.
Not about someone dying.
Man.
Although that could be part of it.
Man, I worked for 48 hours straight with no sleep, and it was car hit pole after car hit pole after car hit pole.
Yeah.
Broken pole in someone's backyard. And then we used a crane. It was nonstop. Man.
Really? 48 hours?
Yeah. Let's just say there's some, what's a good PG-13 word for this? Psychedelics involved in keeping people awake.
Yeah.
And I stay away from those things. So I was just like, man, what's the thing that can mess me up the most, keep me going? So I opened a Monster and a 5-hour Energy, and I poured it into the other one. And man, I thought I was going to explode. I was just shaking, but I kept me going for another day.
Yeah,
So,
barely. But
yeah,
it did.
You forget what day it is after a while. You're just like, man, I can't tell you. I read your question out earlier, and that's what made me came up. It says, what do you think or where would you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't tell you I was going to be in Tennessee from 10 years ago. I didn't even know what I was going to do with my life.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, not in a realistic sense, but where would you like to see yourself?
Where would I like to see myself in 10 years? Involved with my kids.
Okay.
I'm involved with my kids now, but like if I walk around now and I see like dads hanging out with their like teenage kids and stuff like that, I always hope for that kind of relationship. To see myself in 10 years, I want to see myself very involved with my kids and my family. I mean, that's solely all my life is now, so which is pretty, for me, if you were to see me 10 years ago, this is impressive.
Really?
Yeah, it's a complete 360.
What do you think yourself 10 years ago would have said he wants to be today?
You're, damn, I talked a lot of shit back then. I don't know. Probably say, who the hell are you? Like, who are you, dude? Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So, a lot has happened in 10 years for me. I'd say 12 years ago, I lost my mom, and then within the past 4 years, I lost 2 of my own daughters.
Oh, no.
And, you know what I mean? Like, they were born and passed away in my arms and in my wife's arms. And so for me to be 28 now, to claim that I've lost someone above me and 2 below me,
it's a lot.
yeah, but that's where I tell you earlier, where time is short and time is also forever. It's like, it's, you know, it feels like yesterday those people were just here, and now you really look at the facts on the sheet, and it's like, oh man, they were actually gone that long?
I forgot what the saying is, where it's like, there's years that feel like weeks happen and weeks that feel like years happen.
Yeah. I think my wife gets mad at me a lot because I have a terrible memory when it comes to like remembering a certain day of something.
Yeah.
She's like, you remember we did this? I'm like, no, but then I'll bring up something totally random, very detailed. And I'm like, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, listen, we can't control the priorities of information. Okay, I'm really not trying to make this podcast episode a time capsule or anything like that. But Andrew, if you're listening, please show this to your big family 10 years from now in the future so they can see just how much you love and care for them. Now, I have a few more interviews I want to share today, and our second to last interview is one of my personal favorite conversations from today's recording. I'd like you to meet Tiffany, another lifelong Chattanoogan with an aspiring entrepreneurial spirit. What are you doing out here in Coolidge Park in Chattanooga today?
So, I am born and raised here in the beautiful city of Chattanooga, but my friend actually called me this morning and she told me something cool was going on down in Coolidge Park. We live right over the bridge, so we hopped up and decided to come over and see what all the hype was about.
Yeah.
It's been a good time out here.
So what is going on? No one's been able to answer that for me.
So basically, Chattanooga Parks and Recreation, Chattanooga Outdoors,
Yeah.
they had this event where they wanted to basically get people outdoors, doing things, having fun. So they decided to have this event. They have different water slides. They have different vendors that support the outdoor movement. They had people out here with paddle boards, the kayaks, just to kind of introduce people to this beautiful outdoors that we have, and to get people outside and moving.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I wish Atlanta, if you're listening, would take note of that. We do have a lot of festivals, but no outdoor specific festivals. You also said something too that was interesting. Lifelong Chattanoogan.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. I've talked to a few people, but what keeps you here in the city?
The beauty, the people, the culture, the fact that it's in between two big major cities, Atlanta and Nashville. You can even add in Birmingham. It's a really good spot to be in. So I love it here. I have no complaints. And honestly, the fact that my family is here really, really keeps me here. I love being around my family.
No, that's awesome. Y'all picked a good spot to settle down. So I'm going to kind of, you're the type of person I don't really need to like do too many icebreakers. You're very open as a person, which is great. So I kind of want to just give you time to answer the question and take it whatever direction you want. But very simple, straightforward question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
So 10 years from now, I see myself as a dermatologist.
Okay. Are you a dermatologist right now?
No.
Okay.
So I'm actually a licensed esthetician.
Okay.
And being in the skincare world has kind of opened up my eyes to, other things that I'm interested in. And I know that here in Chattanooga, there's maybe one Black dermatologist. So I felt like there was a need in the community for another female Black dermatologist.
That's awesome.
So I've been looking at different schools to see, where I'd like to enroll and just kind of get some background information before I dive in. But in 10 years, that's where I hope to see myself as a dermatologist.
And great reason behind that too, like seeing the gap in the coverage and wanting to provide there. Okay, so let me kind of flip this question a little bit. Where do you think you see like the world in 10 years?
So, the world in 10 years, I think that it'll be even more diverse than it is now. I think that we're going to, well, I hope in 10 years that we come together more. I still see in 2024 a lot of divisiveness, and I really don't like that. I would really love for us to just live in harmony within the next 10 years. And, nobody sees color, nobody cares about race, religion, and we just love on each other. Because we're just good people.
Humanity. Yeah. And maybe everyone subscribe to this podcast. I can't wait to see Tiffany pop off and achieve her goals. I know she's going to do it. You've got this, girl. Oh, and I also can't wait to introduce you to the last guest of today's episode, Mr. Chris Peterson. Not only was Chris just an all-around nice and enjoyable person to talk to, but his story that you're about to hear is one that shows the strength and resilience of the human mind, quite literally. To be completely honest, I've already cried a few times editing this episode and listening to our conversation, so just a bit of a trigger warning here before you jump in. The following conversation contains themes of mental health and suicide. I'm sitting here in Coolidge Park today, and I'm with, what is your name?
Chris Pearson.
Chris Peterson or Pearson?
Pearson.
Pearson. Chris, what brings you out here today?
My daughter's up from Elijah with the grandkids, and we hate sitting in the house. So my wife seen this on Facebook and brought the kids out. Actually, my 8-year-old grandchild climbed all the way to the top of the bridge on the rock.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I was proud of her.
Are you a native to Chattanooga?
Yeah, since '92. I grew up on a military base down in Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay. Well, what brought you here?
Actually, a hurricane hit Homestead, and they were shipping all the people from Homestead up to Moody Air Force Base.
Yeah.
my dad already had his 20 years in, so he was like, we're going up north, and my grandma and them lived in Chickamauga, so we moved up here.
So you got closer to the family?
Well, just my grandma.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you're originally from Georgia? Yeah.
Actually born in Great Falls, Montana.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Military reasons?
Yeah,
Okay.
my dad was stationed out there guarding the missile silos in Great Falls, Montana, and then once I was born, we went to Turkey for 2 years.
Wow.
And
So you
then
spent some
from
time all
Turkey,
around.
went to Valdosta, been down there.
So wait, are you in the military or your dad?
My dad was.
Okay.
Everybody, all my brothers, I'm the youngest of 3. My dad and my 2 brothers all joined the military. I never did.
Are you happy with that decision or?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, military family comes with its perks. My dad's a Navy guy, so, it's been nice to have the insurance and the banking and stuff.
You can't, the past is the past. It ain't coming back. God put 2 things behind us, our past and our ass, because they both stink.
I love that. Okay, so I think I got a little bit of a picture of you.
No, nowhere near.
I got a sliver, enough to where I can jump into a question and get a little bit of context. But where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Hopefully living.
Yeah? That's a great answer. No one said that.
8 years ago, I was diagnosed with grade 4 brain cancer.
Really?
I've had 3 brain surgeries, clinical trial, been through chemo.
Wow. And still going?
God's good.
That's good,
Even
man.
if we're not.
Yeah.
They gave me 6 months to a year to live.
Wow.
Almost 8 years ago.
So that's definitely probably changed your perspective.
It prepared me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It prepared me, my wife used to always be like, you don't ever show emotions. I was like, if you want emotions, marry a sissy. And then when I got diagnosed, son, I had emotions.
Yeah.
I hear a song come on and I just lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it prepared me because about to get emotional.
That's okay.
3 weeks ago, my oldest brother took his life.
I'm sorry to hear that.
He was a good man, served this country, done a lot, was a good man, but lost hope and took his life. I got to spend 4th of July with him, with his family, and we had a good time. And that was my dog.
Yeah.
We get together and we act like 2 kids, 2 kids. So when we was together, we was down in Tybee Island, his wife and my wife and his neighbors.
Love Tybee.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Pirate Festival?
Uh-uh.
Okay, never mind. Go down that on your own. I'm not going to stop you here.
Well, see, he lived in Brunswick. He was training the federal marshals out there at their school. But his neighbor came with their 2 chocolate labs, and they're like, why don't y'all walk down the beach like a couple? I was like, all right. We grabbed the dogs. I put my hand on his butt, and we just walked. These 2 girls come up and said, oh, we love your dogs. How long you had them? I said, we got them about 2 years ago for our anniversary. My brother looked at me and said, man, that ain't right. But we had a good time, man. I was glad to spend that with them,
Yeah.
But being out here just brings back memories because we'd come out here, throw frisbees and stuff like that.
Yeah. What was his name?
Chuck Peterson. The third, I called him Chuck E. Cheese.
You said that after your diagnosis, it kind of like changed. You became more prepared,
Yeah, for death.
So when you think 10 years, do you find yourself thinking 10 years out anymore, or do you think like in the present?
Actually, it's sad because we get caught up in a rat race in life. And I was like, I'll never get back in that rat race.
Yeah.
I got back in it. I figured, I'm like, man, I'm perfectly healthy, even though the diagnosis, like I go to Duke every 6 months now for MRIs and scans. But I'm like, why sit here and piss it away when I can physically get out there and work, and show the goodness of God, because I shouldn't be here.
Okay, well, let me ask you one more question. I really appreciate you opening up, but kind of have a flip to today's question.
All right.
And I think you're going to have a really cool perspective on this, but kind of seeing yourself 10 years from now, stepping further back, like where do you think you see the world in 10 years from now?
Man, it's sad, but I don't want to be here because it's just, man, like, to me, Americans are lazy. They feel entitled. When me and my wife first got together, she had my oldest two I've raised since they were in diapers, you know. So she had 2 kids. I knew her about a month, and next thing you know, she's pregnant. And I made $8 an hour with 3 kids.
Wow.
Moved out of my parents' house, got our own place, paid for everything. You know, their biologicals, what they called them, he didn't contribute nothing, but that's a whole nother story. But I busted my tail, you know. We had 1 car, she would wake up, take me to work, come back, take the kids to school, pick me up. It was just, you know, but I worked. At one time, I was working for 2 years. I worked 7 days a week.
Do you think people just don't have that work ethic anymore?
I don't think they want it. They see easy money out there nowadays.
Gig and like the gig money too, where you can turn on, turn off type of thing. Yeah.
You know, and these people nowadays, like, I ain't got no skills but BS. You know, I can talk with anybody.
Yeah. You should start a podcast.
No. No, I get booted off. Blacklisted. That's
No, they don't cancel anyone in the podcast space.
all right. Well, I may be all right then. But I'm
And that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Normal Person Podcast, aka a 10-year time capsule for every guest featured on today's episode. I want to give a big special shout out to every single guest that sat down with me in Chattanooga, featured or not, because you all made today's episode one to remember. And if you're listening and like today's episode, please consider following or subscribing to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and leave us a review while you're at it. You can also follow us on social media at Normal Person Pod to see upcoming episode teasers, clips, and more. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, I'm Kelley Boston. We'll see you next week.